Hi, and welcome to the Clementine and Roses podcast. I'm your host, Emilia. I'm so excited to finally be starting a podcast. I've been working on this project for a few months actually, and I'm really looking forward to launching my first episode. So I thought this episode would be like a quick introduction to the podcast / a get to know me. Hopefully lots of other episodes will be coming, so I think it's a good idea to kind of get a backstory on who I am and get to know me a little bit. I'm not sure this will be the most interesting episode, as it's basically just me telling you about myself, but I thought it was important to do some sort of like little episode about me. This episode will probably be shorter than future episodes, just because I don't think there's really that much to talk about. But so I wasn't quite sure what kind of questions or things you would be interested to know about me, so I basically just looked on Pinterest at get to know me questions, and I'm just gonna answer some kind of basic ones and then maybe a few deeper questions, like to really get to know me. Just before, I thought that on every beginning of episode I would kind of say 3 things I'm grateful for, or 3 things I'm grateful I accomplished this week. Just because I feel like it's a good way to implement some kind of positive start to the podcast, and maybe like you could also get into a more positive headspace. You could also maybe write down 3 things you're grateful you've accomplished this week at the same time. Maybe this will inspire you to, I don't know, start a grateful journal or something. So 3 things I'm grateful I accomplished this week. Well, first of all, this seems kind of obvious, but I'm so grateful that I finally started the podcast and that I'm recording my first episode. It makes me so happy. I mean, I've been working on this for such a long time, and it's finally coming to life, and that's really exciting. Another thing I'm grateful for, it's not exactly something I've accomplished. Well, I've not accomplished it at all actually, but I'm so grateful because it's been snowing this week, and it just makes me really happy. It never snows where I live. Well, it hardly ever snows, maybe like once or twice a year. And the fact that it's snowing just has made me really happy. It's freezing outside, so I actually do spend most of my time inside. Although I did go on a run today in the snow, and that was really nice. But yeah, one last thing I'm grateful that I accomplished this week. I just deep cleaned my room, and so everything's all clean and pretty and fresh, and put some essential oils on in my diffuser, so it smells really nice in my room. And I don't know, just having a nice space to work in is like the best feeling ever. My room's kind of like a little cocoon, and I love when it's just clean, like inside the cupboards and stuff, when everything's just perfect. It makes me so happy. I am basically Monica and Friends. Anyway, so I'm gonna answer a few questions to get to know me now. So my age, I'm 19 years old and will be 20 next week, so that's very fun. I can't believe I'm soon 20. I feel like when you're 20 you have to have your life together. My life is not together. Like, some bits and pieces are okay. I just feel like other people who are 20 have all of their life together, and I'm kind of, just figuring my way out, which is totally normal and fine. But I really can't believe I'm 20. I mean, I feel like it was yesterday, where I was just 16 going to school. Where I live in a little village that's like an hour away by car from Paris. So I actually grew up in England, near London. My mum's English and Australian, and my dad's French. And so when I was 9, my parents decided to come back to France. And I lived somewhere else for a bit, and now I live here. and I really love where I live. When I was younger, I didn't used to like it because it's somewhat far away from cities and shopping malls and centres, but now I really like it. Like, I'm kind of in the countryside, kind of in a town. It's like a little mix of both. If I wanted to go to like a big town, there are a few that are like 30-20 minutes away by car, which is fine, and most of the time I can just be in my garden or walking around in the forest or in fields, and it's really nice. I'm actually really grateful now, especially during the confinement. I was so grateful, and I feel so privileged that I had a garden I could go into and just spend my days outside. Like, it was awesome. Anyway, next. Where I grew up. Well, I kind of said that. Grew up in London. Well, near London. And in France a bit. So, a bit of mix of both. Siblings. I have 2 younger brothers. One's soon going to be 17 and the other one's soon going to be 15. Okay, next. What I'm studying. I'm now studying communications, marketing, some design, art. I go to a communications school in Paris called ISCOM, and I really enjoy it. I love what I'm doing. I love what I learn. Honestly, it's the best. But last year I was in law school in Paris, and I did that for like from September to January, maybe February, and then I stopped. I kind of quit, but I just really didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel like it was a good path for me. I was bored in class. I mean, what I was learning was actually really interesting, like history of law, economics. I mean, everything was very interesting. I just couldn't see myself doing a job in law. Like, I don't know, I didn't see myself doing anything in that field. So basically, I changed what I was learning to do something I love and something I really liked. And yeah, it was kind of a risk to tell my parents, like, okay, I've had enough, I really want to change. Especially that it just came home one night crying, and I was like, okay, I've had enough, I need to change. And my parents are really cool about it and stuff, but you know, it's still so stressful. And at the beginning I felt like I'd lost a year and everything. Anyway, so those are the kind of questions I came up with myself, and now I'm gonna look on Pinterest to find some kind of other ones. What is the last thing you do before sleeping? Before going to bed, the last thing I do, I make myself a cup of tea and I read my book, and for probably like 30 minutes, well, until I finish my tea, and then I go to bed. Yeah, that's about it. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Okay, the first thing I do when I wake up, when it's a perfect morning and I can do like my perfect morning routine, then I'll wake up, drink a glass of water, do my skincare, which is basically just washing my face with water and putting on sun cream, and then I'll do a 30-minute yoga session when I have the time, when I can, when it's possible. But other times, you know, when I have to wake up really early to go to school and I can't be bothered to do 30-minute yoga because it means I would have to wake up at 5 or 5:30, and I'm not there yet, then I will just wake up and drink my glass of water and do my skincare and get dressed and stuff. Okay, what is my worst habit? My worst habit, I don't know if it's a habit, but the thing that kind of is not that great that I do is that I scratch. I have eczema. When I scratch, my skin gets so red. It's honestly a disaster. But that's probably the worst thing I do, is that, you know, when you have eczema and you want to scratch, well, you scratch, you can't stop. It's horrible. It's like, oh my god, everything's so scratchy. Anyway, that's probably the worst thing. My worst habit, in a way. Anyway, This is a little this or that. Rain or sunshine? I'm gonna say sunshine, but you know, there's nothing better than when it's raining and you have a book and tea and you're in your bed. Early bird or night owl? Definitely early bird. I can get up early. Well, I can get up early and then do my thing. Like, I'm fine. But in the evening, I am so tired. My brain just shuts down after 6. Okay, night in or night out? Ugh. I am definitely a night in sort of person. I like going out from time to time, but I don't know. I just like being in the comfort of my own home, in my room, just being chill. I love going out, but it's just so draining for me that I can't do it every night. I can do it like once a month, once every 2 weeks, but like that's it. Otherwise, it just gets too overwhelming for me. This is probably a very unpopular opinion. Well, you know, there's the kind of the cliche is that when you're 20, you're meant to be out partying, having the time of your life. And don't get me wrong, I love going out with my friends, but I do feel like I prefer to have a nice night in than a night out. Okay, next. Sunrise or sunset? Ooh, both. I don't have one I prefer. I honestly love both. They're both so pretty. But I love the ambience of a late summer night and the sun going down. I mean, there's just nothing better. Always late or always early? Always early. I am hardly ever late. I hate being late. I hate making people wait for me. Honestly, there's nothing worse. So I'm very much always early. Dog person or cat person? I honestly don't know. I've asked myself this question loads of times. I have a dog and a cat, by the way. Mario and Moochie. And I have no idea if I'm a dog or a cat person. Honestly, I have no idea. Dreamer or realist? I feel like I'm a bit of both. Kind of depends. I feel like in real life, I don't know, I feel like I'm more of a realist. However, I do spend most of my time daydreaming. But when it gets down to doing stuff, I feel like I'm definitely more a realist. But in my head, I kind of dream a lot, so. Ooh, thunderstorms. Scary or thrilling? Thrilling. I love thunderstorms. They're so cool. Spring, summer, fall or winter? This just changes all the time. Like, at the moment, we're in winter, so I'm longing for spring and summer. But, you know, the time summer comes around, I'll be like, there's nothing better than autumn and winter and snow. But for the moment, I can't wait for spring and summer. Salty or sweet? I think I'm more salty than sweet. Yoga or running? I definitely prefer doing yoga. But I do like running from time to time, but I'm going to stick with yoga. Coffee or tea? Tea. I love coffee. No. Well, I used to love coffee. And then I just got off it. I kind of had enough. I don't know why. I'm not sure if anyone else was this, but I feel like Emma Chamberlain kind of set a whole coffee obsession in the world. And everyone was addicted to coffee. And so I was like, oh, well, everyone's drinking coffee. Might as well try coffee. And I loved it for a bit, don't get me wrong. But now I've had enough. I don't know. Beach or mountain? I have no idea. I love both. Honestly, I can't pick one. Cook a meal or clean up after a meal? Ooh, I would say cook. I love cleaning, but I don't like cleaning the kitchen. I'm not sure why. I love cleaning my room, but the kitchen, I'm just like, ugh. Friends or Modern Family? Friends. Is that even a question? I'm so sorry. I just love Friends more than most people should. Chocolate or vanilla? Vanilla. Water or milk? Water. I'm not a big fan of milk. Breakfast or dinner? Breakfast. I love breakfast. It's like my favorite meal. I either have porridge with like blueberries, kiwis. Otherwise for breakfast, I'll have a baguette with some butter and jam. It's just so yummy. Hot or cold? I think I prefer to be hot than cold, but I hate, no, I don't know. The moment I'm cold, so I'm like, oh, I'd do anything to be hot. And then when I'm hot, I'm like, oh, I'd do anything to be cold. So, you know. What am I reading at the moment? The moment I've just started reading all of the, what's it called? Oh, I started reading all of the Bridget Jones books. I've seen all of the movies, but I've never read the books. So my mum got them for me for Christmas, and I'm so happy. It's so funny. I'm really enjoying it for the moment. Okay, one thing I want to learn to do this year. I want to finally get my driving license. I feel like I've been driving for years. Well, I've actually not been driving for that long, but I can't wait until I get my driving license. The most important lesson I've learned this year. Well, this year's only been a month and a half. So, kind of going to talk about 2020. And the most important lesson I learned in 2020, as I think many of us has, is to not plan too much, which is really hard for me because I am a planner. I make lists and tasks and to-do lists, and I have a Google calendar and a written calendar, basically 1,000 calendars, and I love planning, but kind of had to get used to not planning with 2020. Do I have any tattoos and piercings? I have, my ears are pierced, I have normal ear pierce and an extra one, the one just above. I have 2 earrings and I have no tattoos. I would love to get one, but for the moment I don't have one because I'm so indecisive. I can't choose what I want, so that's it for the moment. Where am I right now? I'm on my desk in my room. I have a nice cup of tea, a candle, a jumper, and I'm really chill. And I'm very happy to be recording this episode. Maybe I'll answer like 3 more questions, and then that should be enough. What annoys me the most? Something I really don't like is when people tell me to do something at the last minute. I need mental time to prepare for something. Please don't give me something to do 1 hour before it needs to be done. I need at least a day of preparation, mentally, to be prepared for something. This goes completely against what I said that 2020 taught me. Ooh, do you practice self-care? I do practice self-care. It's actually what I want to talk about in this podcast. Self-care, balancing your life, finding your passion, what you love. I try to do some sort of self-care every day, even if it's just sitting down and drinking a nice cup of tea. At least I've done something, something for me. So I love self-care. How I got into it, my mum is a yoga teacher and she loves self-care, so she kind of taught me everything I know. Well, she kind of gave me the basics, and she always gives me tips and tricks, and I find my own inspiration. Instagram, books, Pinterest, other apps, and yeah. What kind of self-care things do I do? I do yoga. I love yoga. I meditate. I only do it for 10 minutes a day, but that's already really good, and I'm very proud of myself for doing it. I've done it since the beginning of the year, actually, so month and a half. I've done it almost every day. There have been a few days where I haven't done it, but that's fine, that's normal. I journal. I basically just write what I've done during the day. I like it because I feel like when I'm older I'll be able to read it, and I just find it'll be interesting to see what, when I'm 30 and read what I was thinking about and what I was doing when I was 20, or even for my children or my great-grandchildren or my grandchildren. I feel like it'll be interesting for them to read. Those are the basic self-care things. When people are ooh, I do self-care, yes, I meditate, I do yoga, and I journal. But I also read. I feel like reading is self-care because, you're doing something for yourself. You're either taking pleasure in reading something funny or scary, or you're learning tips and tricks to make yourself a better person. So I feel like reading is self-care. What else do I do? I go for walks. I listen to great podcasts. I like doing digital detoxes. And on the other hand, I also love binge watching Netflix, YouTube. Yeah, I think that's about everything self-care wise I do. I don't know if you can hear my computer. It's making so much noise. I'm so sorry if you can. Okay, so I think you've kind of got to know me. And now I'm kind of going to say what the podcast is going to be about. What I would like to talk about in it and stuff. So Clementine and Roses is basically about how to balance your life as a student between health, relationships, friendships, university work, a student job, self-care, how to manage stress, pressure, organization, well-being, a bit of everything. I just want to have a nice little community where we can share tips and tricks and tell each other how our weeks have been and stuff. I don't know, something kind of cute. I want it to be really chill, laid back, easy going, as if I was chatting with my best friends. Here are some episodes I thought I was going to do in the future. For example, I was thinking routines, morning and evening, taking the time to rest, like a rest day or a weekday, and how to implement it in your life. How to deal with stress as a student, my 10 top self-care tips, the power of positivity, time management as a student, 20 tips to be more environmentally friendly. I thought I'd do a whole podcast about recommendations, like my favorite podcasts, my favorite brands, my favorite songs, my favorite books, my favorite teas. Would that be interesting? No. Just drink any tea anyway. I'd like to do some easy catching up episodes, some Q&A episodes. I think that's about it. And as I said at the beginning, the layout for each episode, I would love to start each episode. Nina Florence's podcast, which is called Growing with the Flow, is amazing, by the way. You should definitely go and listen to it. She starts every episode by, I think she does 3 wins for the week and something else. I can't remember. But basically, I thought that was an amazing idea. So I would like to start each episode with saying 3 things I'm grateful for and that I accomplished, as I did at the beginning. Also, if you are enjoying the podcast, you could go and follow the Instagram page. It's kind of the hub for the podcast. I'll link it in the show notes, but basically I'll be giving news on upcoming episodes. You guys can also send in questions if you want me to answer for Q&A episodes and other things. That will all be on the Instagram page. Anyway, I think that concludes our first episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, then you can maybe share it on your Instagram story. I'll definitely repost it. You can give a rating and a review. That really helps. I'm really happy that I finished this first episode. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next week. Bye.